Good morning, everybody. I thought I would do something a little bit different today. So, we are going to be working with cotton yarn today. I'm going to teach you how to not only increase, but also how to work in a spiral. So, for this particular project, we're just going to make a coaster. So, I can show you how to work in a spiral, but I will also show you some hot pads and trivets and things like that that I have made using this particular technique. So for this, you're going to need either a single skein, sorry, brain's not working already this morning, a single skein of cotton yarn. I have 3 different ones here. This is a white, a black, this is peaches and cream or sugar and cream. I don't remember. As you can tell, I threw out the label. Here's another one. And then I have my Mainstays brand or Walmart brand of 100% cotton yarn. I like to mix these two together when I make my trivets. So if you do 2 together, which I will show you how to do, you're going to need a larger hook. So this is a K hook. But if you're just going to do one, you're going to need like an H hook because you want it to be semi-tight. You don't want there to be super, like, you don't want your hot pad or coaster or anything to be super holy. And then you're going to need stitch markers. So I bought these at Hobby Lobby. There's just a bunch of different colors. There's actually a pink one in here too, but I'm currently using them all for a project that I'm working on. But so I got this. I think it was like $3.99, $4. It wasn't very expensive. It has like 100 little stitch markers, and they're just these little clips like this. They look like little plastic safety pins. You just push it in like that. No big deal. And then I also have these stitch markers that my best friend made for me. Um, they're just little, lobster claw clips with a cute little, attachment. So, um, either one will work fine. Like I said, depending on if you're going to do 1 or 2 skeins, you're going to need either an H hook or a K hook, and then clearly a pair of scissors. So I actually came prepared today. I don't have to get up and go get anything. So I'm going to start with just this white. This one is different. This is called chocolate milk. But I'm going to start with just this white, and I wanted to show you I'm actually going to put this on the floor because if you pull it from the top, it works great, but if you pull it and you're trying to do this, it just falls over and it's a nightmare. So, I'm going to place it on the floor. Um but I wanted to show you first. So this is my trivet, my works in a spiral trivet. And right here is where the ending is, right up here. And I just slip stitched it in, but I wanted to show you, this is 2 different strands of cotton yarn. So I used a K hook with this. And it is a little bit holy, but it's not so bad. But you don't want anything, super holy. So there's that. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to start off by showing you how to crochet with just the one cotton. So the first thing you want to do is clearly you want to make your slip knot. Sorry, my brain to mouth is not working this morning. So your slip knot. So I always wrap around my fingers and then come back through this way. That way I can move my slip knot around with this yarn end. Okay, you pull it and it makes the slip knot smaller. And that's important today, super important today, because of the fact that you're going to be crocheting into this circle. Okay. So the first thing you want to do is you can either do it like this, like I'm doing, and then I always hold this very weird to try to get it into closest to the knot to slip to chain 1. The other thing that you can do is, and this is what I did for a very long time, I can't do a magic ring, okay? So magic rings are super difficult for me, and I don't know why, but they are. So for this, you can also just chain 2, and then on that chain, you're just going to pull it as tight as you can, because then we're going to work into that first chain constantly. And, I'm looking at this, and this is really hard to see in this lighting. This white is really hard to see. So I'm actually going to switch over to this chocolate milk yarn instead. This one, I think this might be a little easier to see because I want my light on, but I don't want it, I want everything to glow in the dark. So let me switch over real quick, pull a little bit of this out. Oh yeah, that's much better. Place that on the floor like I did the first one. Okay. And I switched the background today because I was working with white, thinking that that might be a little easier. But this actually is better. So let me grab the lighter colored one and just put it underneath like this. And then that way we can see it. That's a little better. What do you think? All right. All right, so you can either do it into this giant loop here, like this, or you can do it as a chain two. And when you do a chain two, you want your first chain to be a little bit bigger than normally. So we're just going to use a single crochet stitch today. Because we're using single crochet, you only want 6 single crochet to go into this chain here. So it would be the second chain from your loop. So this is the first, or from your hook, sorry. So this would be the first one, and this is the second one. So we're going to single crochet 6 times into this right here. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And it is okay if you crochet over your yarn end and where the beginning of that is. Okay, you see that? All right, because now we're going to take this yarn end and you're going to pull it tight. Now, when you work in the round, which thankfully I have one of my cute, adorable little coasters here. When you work in the round, you always slip stitch into the first crochet stitch. When you're working in the spiral, you do not. So working in a spiral means you're for sure going to need a stitch marker. And I prefer using these unless I need to put a project down, and then I will use these plastic ones and use a Sharpie and write on the thick part what hook size I have. Or the other thing I'll do is I'll use, so like this is an orange handle, I'll use an orange hook. Or orange stitch marker. Okay, so to increase, to make this larger without making it fold over on itself, all of these stitches, there's just one stitch all the way around, and we have 6 of them. So now that we're on the second round, we want to make sure that every stitch has 2 stitches inside of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and insert into this stitch, which of course I made my stitches just a bit too tight because that's just how I roll apparently. So you're going to insert into this first stitch and we're going to make a single crochet into it. Now, I will tell you, now that you've made that first one, go ahead and put your stitch marker in there. Okay. If you don't, you're going to lose your spot. You're going to lose where that first stitch was, and you're going to continue crocheting around, and you're going to end up with a ball or a bowl instead of a flat project. Okay. And that gets annoying trying to figure out where you messed up. So I always suggest you do your first one and then you insert your stitch marker, and then you can go about your business and do the rest of it. So now I'm going to insert into that same stitch again. And we're going to make a second single crochet into that first stitch from the very first round. You see that? Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing all the way around. So it's 2 stitches in each stitch. So again, we're going to do 1 and then 2. And you want to try to make your stitches tight, but don't make them so tight that you can't insert your hook like I do on your next round, because that makes it a little bit difficult to crochet. And as you can see, I cut my nails down, so I don't really have any right now. So trying to get that yarn over top of your hook can be a little bit of a problem. I'm just continuing, and you want to continue to do 2 stitches, 2 single crochet stitches, or SC, into each single crochet from the round before, until we get to that stitch marker. So you, on your first round, will have 6 single crochet, and on the second round you should have 12 single crochet. So if you go back and count all of your little top V's, you should have 12. So here's your first one. See, I made it all the way back to the stitch marker, so that's how I know I'm done with round 2. So here's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We're going to move this down just a bit. There we go. So you can actually see this. And there's my 12. Okay. So now the next thing you want to do is, now we've made it back to that stitch marker. So you actually want to take your stitch marker out, because we need to go to round 3. So you want to take this out because we're going to move it. Okay. So now in round 3, we will have single crochet in the first stitch, and then 2 single crochets in the second stitch. So let's go ahead and do our first stitch. So single crochet in here, and then mark it. And then 2 single crochet in the next. Okay. Now, I am a numbers person. I've always enjoyed math. It's always been something I've liked. So I always count. This is round 1. This is round 2. And make sure you distinguish that. These are not rows like when we work on something flat or straight like this. These are rounds because we were working in the round or in the spiral today. So it's round 1. So there's 1 stitch in each. This is round 2. So there's 2 stitches in each. And this is round 3, which means we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And you're going to do that all the way around. And that's how I remember how many stitches to do. So it's 1, 2, and then the third one goes into that same stitch, your increase. Okay, so if you ever see that in a pattern where it says INC, an increase, it will say single crochet increase, or DC, or a D, so SC increase. Single crochet increase will be SC dot INC. Okay. Or DCINC, so that's double crochet, or HDC for a half double increase. So you're going to do that. So you're going to do 1 stitch, and then you're going to do a single crochet increase, which we just said means that you're going to do 2 stitches into that particular stitch, and you're going to repeat this all the way around. So like I said, in my head I go 1, 2, 3, 2 and 3, stitch number 2 and number 3 go into the same stitch. So stitch number 1, stitch 2, and then stitch 3 goes into that same one, and then we're back over here, 1 single crochet, and then 2 and number 3, and then we've made it back around to the beginning again. So now we're going to start row 4, or round 4, sorry. So round 4, once again, take out your stitch marker, make your first single crochet. So put your stitch marker back in. All right, so 1, 2, and then an increase. So this one gets 2 single crochets. 1, 2, and then 3, 4 is what this one gets. Okay. And you're going to continue to do this. You're going to add a stitch before you do the increase for every round, for every time you go around. For instance, I'll set that to the side. For instance, when I did this one, this has 12 rounds. Now, you can make it be more round by moving your increase stitches around so that they're not all in the exact same one. Which, let me see if I can find one that I actually did like that, so I can show you. I've got everything behind me. Oh, here we go. See the difference? See how this one has these points sticking out? This was before I learned how to make them round. So all my increases line up here. All my increases line up here. Here. You can literally look at it. It's 2 stitches that go like this because they're in the same. So it widens it out every time. So you've got them every single time all the way up. I learned to move them around so that it is more round. And on that last row, you will get them sticking out just a bit, especially in the very beginning. Or should I say in the very end. But it's not so bad to where it's like super noticeable. So these are made double thick. So it's not like this where this is one single, strand of yarn. These are made double. You can kind of see the difference between that. This is made with a K hook. This is made with an H hook, which I actually wanted to show you how to do that. And I want to show you why I do one of these thinner cotton yarns with one of these thicker cotton yarns. And the reason I do that is because if you do 2 of these thick cotton yarns, you end up with something that is so thick that your hook doesn't even want to go through it. And I struggle with using 2 of those. So whenever I do mine, I always use something like a Lily's Sugar and Cream or Peaches and Cream like this. And then I'll also use something thin like this Mainstays 100% cotton, or even the Hobby Lobby. I love this cotton. Now let me find the end of this. Where is it? There it is. All right, the end of it. Found it. Okay, so I wanted to show you when working with 2 strands together, you want to line it up as best you can like this. And then you want to crochet like normal. Now your yarns are going to wrap around each other. I did white and black so you could see it maybe a little better. And I'm going to start this like I do mine normally. I don't do the 2 together like that, or the 2 chains. I always grab this whole big thing and wrap it between my fingers like that. So then pulling through, and it's the same thing working in the spiral. So you're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then pull tight, which is why I like doing it this way instead. So let me grab. Oh, good, it didn't stop my recording. I accidentally just hit the mouse. By accident. All right, so I'm going to use these because my other one's being occupied. So you see how on this first stitch, the black and white is kind of combined, and then each stitch, each top of the stitch looks a little different. This one, the top of it is black. So when you crochet into it, you just want to make sure that you're picking up all 4 strands. And I say 4 because it's 2 on each one, right? So there's my first stitch. You always want to size up on your hook when you're using more than 1 strand of yarn. It's just like if you buy like a size 5 or a size 6 yarn, remember we talked about different size yarns. That's size 4, and a size 4 tells you that you need an H hook for this particular thing. And all my cotton yarns say to use an H hook. So I use an H hook. Sometimes I will size down to a G if I want something to be super tight. Like my pickles, my crocheted pickles, I used green cotton yarn just so that it's easier to clean them. And I think I used a G. I may have even used an F hook. Because that's amigurumi. You definitely don't want any holes. So I'm just trying to get a couple of rounds here crocheted up so you guys can see what I'm talking about with the difference between the thickness. Try to get us the same amount. And the other thing is when you're working in the round, your center circle will constantly come open. So you're going to constantly have to close it back up, which is really no big deal. Okay, so let me go ahead and do a third round real quick so we can compare it to the one that we did together. Now, all of my trivets, my chicken hot pads, they're all done with 2 strands of yarn to make them extra thick. And both strands of yarn are cotton. And the reason for them to be cotton is because if you put a hot pot on your hot pad, you don't want it to melt, right? If you use something like this is acrylic, it's gonna melt. If you use something like this, which is acrylic and polyester, I think, it's gonna melt, right? You wouldn't put something like that, something hot on something like that. You'd want something that's not going to melt. You don't want plastic stuck to your bottom of your hot pot, right? So you're going to use cotton. Cotton does not burn. I will tell you it will scorch a little. I put a super hot pan on one of my trivets. I have blue and green trivets, and it did scorch it. I threw it in the wash, came right out. No extra scrubbing, no nothing. That's the other thing I like about cotton. It washes really easily, which is really nice. So I'm almost done here. And my chicken hot pads, I'll show you in just a minute. Those are for sale. Those are up on not only my Etsy store, but as well my Facebook. If you prefer to shop through Etsy, shop through Etsy. If you prefer for it to be a little bit more personal, shop through my Facebook group. Shoot me a message. And I messed up somewhere. As I was talking and not paying attention, not counting. Let's see. Here it is right here. 1 and 1. No, that's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1. Oh well, it'll be all right. In this case, if you messed up and you don't want to frog it or rip it out, as crocheters call it, frogging, because rip it, rip it, rip it, rip it sounds like a frog. All right, so if you don't want to frog it, you don't want to rip it out, just go back and count. So 1, this is your first one. 1, 2, 3 in the same one. 1, 2, 3 in the same one. 1, and then here it is right here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So then on this next one, to make sure that you have enough stitches, because remember on the third round, we started with 6 on the first round. So on the third round, we need to have 6 times 3, which is 18 stitches. So in order to have 18 stitches, we need to go back and put 2 stitches in this one. Okay. And we'll go back and I will count it to show you why we did 2 stitches in that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. If we had only done 1 stitch in this last one, we would have ended up with only 17 stitches, which would have thrown off the entire thing. So 16, 17, 18. Now we have 2 in there. Okay. So now let's just show you. See the difference? And I know I didn't finish this one. We were on row 4. It's not totally finished with row 4, but oh, excuse me. With row 3 on this one, it's clearly bigger than this one, right? So like my chicken hot pads have 12. Let's see if we can move this again. Sorry about the all the movement. There we go. Yeah, you can see I'm working at my computer desk. But so the chicken hot pads, it's 12, just like my trivets are. Except that it has a head and wings. The exact same. The exact same. See? But the chicken hot pads, they sell for $8 a piece, and the trivets are 6. If you buy them in sets of 2, I'll sell them to you for $10. You get set of 2 for 10 or 1 for 6. So uh, clearly it's better to buy in bulk. But so my chicken hot pads, a whole thing is made out of cotton. Even these little eyeballs, cotton yarn, cotton yarn, cotton yarn. It's all cotton yarn because you want to stick something hot on it. You don't want it to melt, right? So there you go. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, leave that below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know what you guys think about working in a spiral. Too easy, too difficult, you lose your spot, what's going on. Let me know. All right, guys, I hope you have a wonderful day, and as always, happy hooking.